All right, everybody, we are back again. Dynasty Mirror Search for Uhuru. And I have the sister Shirley Husar with us on once again. We had a dynamic show last night. We're gonna have another dynamic show this evening. The topic today is, or this afternoon, this evening, if you're on the East Coast, is Black people who support illegal immigration don't support the Black community. Now, this is a very controversial topic or statement that I'm making because I'm getting it. This is the objections to comments like this that I'm getting, or the rebuttals, or well, Dinus. What about the humanitarian aspect of illegal immigration? Uh, Dinus, another one I'm getting. Well, Dinus, okay, they're illegally immigrating, but again, the jobs that they're getting or taking are low income, low wage jobs, which we'll cover as well. Um, and again, like me and Miss Husar discussed yesterday, you have Black people, entertainers, politicians, Black people who are in the limelight, who are going harder for this illegal immigration, um, supporting this illegal immigration, going harder for illegal immigration than they are the Black people in their communities. And with that being said, I went on another somewhat fact-finding mission today. And what I mean by that, I need to apologize to a lot of brothers that I doubted. I was at one time one of these, oh, well, legal aliens, they're getting the low paying, low wage jobs. Why are you complaining? But this is what's going on, Miss Shirley Husar. That's why I'm surprised. And I think we spoke about this yesterday. Maybe you could correct me. What's going on? A lot of brothers are, they're applying for jobs, construction jobs, labor related jobs, and they're being denied. And what these companies are doing, they are hiring illegal aliens because these illegal aliens are taking less pay. And they really can't say anything or complain about it because they're illegal.
And this is so true. America has set itself up so that we have. Thank you. I can't believe you had me on again. I mean, here we are, day two.
I'm gonna tell you this. So I'm gonna tell you this. I'm gonna tell you this. Not to cut you off. Not to cut you off. I'm cutting you off. I'm sorry. Interrupting. I'm sorry. This topic, and I speak a lot on Liberia, because Liberia was a Black nation that was successful. All right, that was a successful Black nation that we founded in Africa that was destroyed. And the misconception, the misinformation that was put out is that, the Black American that went over there, we were the oppressor. And it's just so many lies when it comes to the founding of Liberia. It was an absolute success. So the illegal immigration of Liberia topic, Black politicians here in America, the Liberia topic, I'm going to continue to speak on. But go ahead. And you did a great job. You did such a great job yesterday, and people loved you. So I have to bring you back on. But go ahead.
Woohoo! Again, thank you guys so much for having me on. I feel very honored and very excited, because I think many of us are waking up. We're waking up to the fact that we are in crises right now. We are on the verge of extinction. And right. I don't think people realize how bad it is. So let's go to that question you just asked me regarding construction and jobs for African American.
Like I said, I was asking around here in the Atlanta area, because again, there's a ton of construction going on in Atlanta. And I asked a brother who was working for one of the construction companies. I said, brother, I noticed a lot of Hispanics. I literally approached one and said hello. He spoke absolutely no English. And so I went to the brother. I said, what's really going on? And he said, basically, they're being hired by these companies. They work for less than nothing. They work they work for less wages, lower pay than everybody else. The companies know that is going on. They're just turning their head to it and ignoring it. And I'm asking, like, well, how are they getting hired? And he's saying, well, they have a friend or whatever who's working in the company, and it's kind of just kept under the rug. They're hired, they look out for each other, and it's kept under the rug. So yeah, so that's what's going on.
Wow, you asked a loaded question. Let me see if I can break it down. So, when illegal immigration commenced, as you know, they are cheap labor. But it's not just about cheap labor, it's really a colonial structure labor system. And so, what does that really mean, Shirley? So, let's do a hypothetical. Here's a guy who's in construction. He has a company. He's always had whites and blacks, and of course, even Latino Americans. But illegals come along and they come in masses, and they're willing to work under the radar of the infrastructure that's designed to protect us. They're willing to work under the rules and regulations of the laws of a company's requirements, so they won't be so they cannot get fined. What does that mean? That means if you're an owner and you have a business and you know you can skim, you don't have to put the same quality of work in, because the worker won't call you out, because there's an arrangement here. If you call me out and I make you use the less quality of wood or concrete or anything, that a rebar, you're supposed to put so many pieces of rebar in. When it comes to development, you have to have so much grading level put in place. Maybe there's a way where I can cut back in so many ways, not only paying somebody, but in creating the product. I'm going to hire me an illegal immigrant, because it's a win-win. They're not going to say nothing because they don't want me to have them deported or mention that their family's here illegally. And I'm going to get a win-win because I'm not going to pay them as much. So this is what is happening. We finding out that businesses are not complying to law. Businesses are getting busted because they are not using what they should be using. And if those who don't get busted, they're going to keep going because their bottom line grows. In the meantime, African American people are not being picked for these jobs because, you know, we're going to whistle blow because
Right.
we're born and raised here.
Shirley. Right, Shirley. And that's what the guy said. He said the reason why they'll pick it illegal over a black American is because we'll whistle blow. Hey, they're not paying us what we're supposed to be paid. This is going on. This job side abuse is going on. That's exactly what he said. And illegals won't do it because they're illegal. Go ahead.
And that's correct. And then the next thing that they do, they hire management, assistant management, foremen, and then they have that same ideology. Next thing you look up, they got their cousins, their uncles, their best friends, and now we're not even on the platform. We're not even on the table.
And that's exactly what's going on. So again, I spoke about this yesterday or Saturday in regards to the ecosystem that's built around illegal aliens when it comes to the issue that we're talking about now. Again, it's bigger than just low wage jobs. It's an ecosystem that's built to protect what's going on. All right, go ahead.
Absolutely. And I think that, you know, we have to think about it from dollar sense and from number sense, from a number perspective of we as a people, as a culture of people, we need to wake up to this. We need to wake up to the fact that this concept of diversification, coalition, inclusiveness mindset doesn't have our best interests on the table. Our best interest is not on the table. Not only is not on the table, they're almost using your credentials. They're using Black people's credentials to leverage their way past us to the next level. So I did a video called The Latino Coalition and what Trump did versus Black people. Make sure you go to YouTube and look up the Latino Coalition for Shirley Husar on YouTube. Make sure you guys subscribe, because in that video, I make it clear that the Latinos are focused on the economic numbers and how they talk about how they're bringing billions of dollars into America. But then when we get to the Black Congressional Caucus, who's supposed to represent us, we don't talk about money and numbers that we contribute to this country. We talk about the pain and anguish that we're going through, and we've been going through for 400 years. Mass incarceration, which turns us back into another form of slavery. And we talk about, and then we talk about the population of Black people and how Planned Parenthood is now have all their headquarters in urban Black communities, and they've done their job. They've not only broke us, they've held us kill each other off, and now they want to filtrate these illegal immigrants to replace us.
Real quick, Shirley. So in the comments, they're making statements like, well, why are we concerned about companies who are probably white owned, why are we even worried or concerned or even bringing up them not hiring black employees and hiring illegals when black people need to build their own businesses and own construction companies? Do you want to build on that? Because I know, like, even in LA, we did that, but then we still weren't getting these huge contracts. Um, do you want to expand on that?
Absolutely, I definitely can. It's interesting. I want you all to realize in California, for those who didn't see our previous show, I'm going to repeat a couple of things, and I'm going to be a little repetitive for
Go
those who
ahead, no
didn't see
problem.
the
Take
previous
your
show.
time. Take your time. Take your time.
California is down to 6% black people. We have no black people in California. What we have is black people who are being targeted. The gay and lesbian community are targeting our young black men, and they're converting them into gays and lesbians and all these other kind of lifestyle that pulls away from the traditional black family. The traditional black family is being broken and is being taken away from this country. And California is the liaison. California is the example of the next generation that they're going after. Now, in saying that, to answer the question regarding the jobs, if you look at us as a people, what they do first is that they go towards things that are open to them. When you have illegal immigration and chain migration on EB3 and EB2, EB1 or EB2 visas, I mentioned it in your thread before. I wrote an article on it. These particular visas allow these people to come in and have money to start businesses. And so they needed to find a skill set. And they came to California and they stole our skill set, and then they started their own skill set, and then they start working for these white people. So you said we need to build our own. Absolutely. But how do we build our own when we can't keep what we just have? You can't build something you ain't got no foundation to, because the foundation that we had is being destroyed or already destroyed. And anything else that we want to build on top of, what can you build on top of? So when we need to have construction, we had construction and we still have black contractors who are out there. But I want to give heed to those who are in the South or the Midwest. If you have a business and you decide to do like white America and you hire these people, they're copying you. They're speaking in Spanish to each other. They're communicating about how they're going to compete against you, implicate, how you say copy. I can't say the words right, but you know what I mean. They're going to copy you, and then they're going to find out that they're your competitor. Next thing you look up, Jose or whatever, Chinese or whatever, and I'm not talking about Latinos only. The immigrants, the illegals are going to plant themselves right next to you and cut costs because of the number of people they have access to.
Mm. Real quick, I want to let me backtrack a little bit. There's some feedback, um, a little bit
On my side or yours?
on yours. It's hello. We're good now. All right, so I just wanted, there were some comments made on our video from yesterday, and I just want to read some of the comments. There were questions that people had. Um, let's see here, and maybe you can address them. One of them is, Shirley, when black farmers won the $1.2 billion reparations lawsuit against the USDA, it was the Republicans who attacked Obama for signing the bill to repay the descendants. It was Republican Steve King who was asking what black people contributed to in America. It was the House Republicans who were crying foul and claiming the bill was fraudulent. What are your thoughts on that statement?
I have no thoughts on it because right now I've just been focusing on illegal immigration. I have not been focusing on previous bills or past bills of
Okay.
what Obama signed or didn't sign. But I will say this. I want to ask you, what did Obama do for black people as a whole? Was that what he did? Because my understanding is immigration was his main platform, and the gay and lesbian community. So again, we're talking about an administration currently right now, this one right here, that hat that everyone's so scared of, this one right here, I'm telling you, is trying to bring a different perspective. But if we're going to sit back and say we want to impeach him, if we're going to sit back and say, oh, no, I ain't going to listen to her, and wait 4 years for it to get better or 8 years to get better, how old will you be then? How old will you be before you want to see a nation of people to improve itself, unless you hold and accountability to a presidential administration during the duration of that time. So the things that I'm discussing has to do with this administration and now. What happened under Obama watch and how the Republicans deal with it. I don't speak for the Republicans. I don't speak for Obama. I was a delegate for this president that's currently active.
Okay. Another question was, I guess, Trump reversed almost every criminal justice reform that Obama administration implemented. I mean, but it really, well, what's your take on that? Because my take on that, like, it was never really implemented.
You answered the question right
Yeah,
there.
yeah. I mean,
Come on.
like, he rolled it back, but it was never, or I guess he rolled it back, but it was never really implemented. Even
No.
when, oh, yeah, that's what I'm saying. It was never implemented.
And I will say this, there's some accountability on our part to hold Trump too. If we want Trump to work in our best interest, we can't just sit back and say, well, they got administration, they got legislation. Where is it that we come together, like me and Di are doing right now, and saying, let's talk about legislation, let's talk about mass incarceration. The privatized prisons were under Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton. The privatized prisons that are still in place today, where are on the stock exchange, is another form of human slavery if you look at it. But if we don't bring that point up to this administration, if we don't bring the point up that when men are incarcerated in this country, it reverts to their rights to slavery according to the way the Constitution and a lot of the amendments to the Constitution are written, and that we need to make those corrections, what good is it? We don't cry loud enough, and I said that before. We sit back and we want to find fault with Obama or with Trump. I find fault with us not having a better communication and open mindedness like we're doing right now, so that we can say we can all come at a larger platform, even if it's just 60 or 80% of us saying, okay, we don't want illegal immigration, and we want you to realize these are the things going on in our community, and we want correction in that. Meaning that if we have people in our community who are feeling threatened by people coming in, knocking on their doors, which is, unhumane to the elderly Black people. We want our Black people off the streets of Los Angeles. We want all this legalized drug injected heroin or whatever that they're putting up their arms to have all these hypodermic needles and that are 80 to 90% up in the Bay Area to end. I mean, we need to have a list of what we want from this administration, and don't expect people or white people or even these Black people, these so-called Black leaders, to work in your best interest. Because if that's the truth, why are we in the position we are? We just had a Black president for the last 8 years.
Perfect. The question, and this is the thing in the in the chat room, I want to address this. I have an issue with illegal immigration, not legal immigration. That's where I'm at. Okay, so I just don't understand why we are in support of illegal immigration, especially when it affects Black people adversely. Okay, I'm witnessing it right here in Atlanta. That's where I'm at.
I have a problem with illegal immigration and immigration, and I'll tell you why. Because the way the structure of immigration has affected illegal immigration. Again, going back to the EB3 and EB4, these EB2, EB3 programs, and I might not be getting the EB right, but what it has to do is visas that are given to immigrants to come in this country who have X amount of dollars. So they come here with X amount of dollars and they set up shops. Don't you find it strange? Well, many of you are younger, but many of you don't remember back in the days in the 80s and the 90s, they used to have Black people who had businesses. And before then, the 70s, 60s, they had businesses. But in the 80s, under Ronald Reagan, who was a Republican, they instilled these visa programs to help chain migration to build America and make it better. What immigrants do is they come here and they send their money back to their country. It's not in bettering the American people. It's in bettering their country. And then what they do is, because they don't want to respect the laws and regulation structure that we mentioned at the beginning of this video, they hire illegal immigrants. So the immigrants hire illegal immigrants because they know that they won't enforce the truth and they can put stuff under the radar. So for me, if you have a homeless shelter, like we said in the other video, and you realize that you can no longer take anybody else, they say what? They say, you're going to have to come back tomorrow. We're full.
Right.
I believe America is full of immigrants and illegal immigrants who are who are basically not respecting the Constitution, do not respect law and order, and think of us as a lower and lesser class of people, not only based on America's history, but national history. You got to remember, in the 1400s, a lot of countries had black slaves. So other countries and other people have a whole different perspective of what we are and how we're treated, and we're showing example of that because we're allowing them to write on the civil rights that was built to correct those wrongs that Americans did back to us.
So let me ask you this: the fake, I would say, so-called humanitarian, social justice warriors, outrage. Now, all of a sudden, you have a lot of us who are upset and outraged as far as what's going on with the illegal immigrants. They're upset at Donald Trump. They're fake outraged about what's going on as far as the kids being separated from um, their parents. But then I remember when I brought up how Obama and Hillary Clinton um, removed Omar Gaddafi in Libya and destabilized Libya, and then when Africans who were migrating to Libya were being captured and sold into slavery, everyone was deflecting. It wasn't an issue. It was like, oh well, it just happened. How do we address this fake outrage and selective outrage when it comes to certain issues?
You know, that's a good question because it's really up to us because it's really up to us, like me and you and other people out there, T West, and that have a voice of reason, of breakdown, of structure. Now, when we think of Libya and what happened with that situation, I mean, for those who followed it and followed Trump, I was at the excuse me the Republican National Convention, and he had the soldiers that were still alive. He had one of the gentlemen who I think he was in tech, and he got killed. His mother was there speaking on the matter and how she went to Obama and she went to the Clintons, and they kind of passéed it. They didn't even want to respect it, but it totally destabilized. It disabled that part of the region of the world, and still having the aftermath today. Look, fake news, fake fake ideology. A lot of it with our people is emotional. A lot of it is non-relatable. It's just emotional, and it's regurgitated from what they heard from somebody else. If I say to someone, "Well, I don't like Trump. I hate Trump," and they'll say, "I hate Trump. I don't like Trump," and then you ask them why, they can't even tell you. If you ask them, "Well, why are you supporting this?" They can't even tell you. So a lot of these people, if you want to know if they're real or fake, if you go hear them speak or they speak about how they hate somebody and they can't give you a reason, they can't give you a breakdown of why, and they can't tell you because if you love Obama, ask them what did he do for black people? We already know that answer. If you love Obama, tell me what did he do to stabilize our community, black American community? Nothing. You can't tell me that because his primary focus was illegal immigration. They always disable or create a energy where it's not comfortable for us. It doesn't work in our best interest, but it's so under the table and so passe because we're so into the beautiful black chocolate family and how they looked, and then the Clintons and how united they were. But look at where we're at. Look at our communities. Are we better than we were 10 years ago or 20 years ago?
Let's see who else we have. What other comments we have in the chat room. Uh, thank Mra, I think that's his name. True Dynast, but Africans were still captured and sold beforehand. Also, rate of child separation increased under Trump. Extent not fake outrage. So again, they'll come up with every reason to justify what Obama and Hillary Clinton did to Libya and the effects because of that took place after that. But when it comes to illegal immigration, all of a sudden it's a humanitarian issue. Um, there's conflict in their country. We have to feel sorry for them. But when it comes to what he did to Libya, all of a sudden it's a non-issue.
It's a non-issue because it's not relatable to them. But if you talk to the people in Libya, you ask them how they feel. Look, you got to live in the now. You got to live where you're at now. Look at your people. Look at your babies. Look at your man. Look at your woman. Look at your neighbors. Look at your neighborhood and tell me, do you see yourself? When you live in Los Angeles right now, we have half the stuff in Spanish and half the stuff in English. When you go to the public schools, half the day is taught in English, the other half the day is taught in Spanish. It's ridiculous. Why are we teaching half English, half Spanish? And how does that place within our Black community with our people when our needs are not being met? Why do you let yourself be a stepping stool in 2018 for someone who came to this country and can't even fix their own country? They got problems in Guadalajara. They got problems in El Salvador. They have problems in Mexico and China. They have problems in Saudi Arabia. So they come here and they spend all their money and they buy up everything. Look, Beverly Hills isn't even Beverly Hills. It's Persian Hills. So this is what I'm talking about as far as immigration problem, as well as illegal immigration. We need to have them to understand you have to assimilate and you have to associate. That'll never happen. So in the meantime, let's continue to suppress Black Americans, make them understand that you are a lesser class of people. You'll never have anything, and you deserve them. You have a right, a constitutional right, because you are number one, American. Number two, the civil rights and the amendments, the 13th, 14th, 15th, are written in your best interest, not in their just best interest. It didn't say foreigners. It said Africans, it said Blacks and Indians. So you need to know your genealogy. You need to understand if you are a child of the indigenous slave tribe, there's certain protective rights that are in place, but you don't hold government accountable for that. You sit back and focus on things you can't change or control. What you need to do is do your homework and hold your local elected officials accountable, your senators, your congressmen, your assemblymen, your school boards, your water boards. You need to know what's going on in your community all the way up to the top of the chain, including the president of the United States, this man right here. This man right here sat across from many of the Black leaders, the CBC, in 2017, and they told him, we do not want to work with you. We don't want anything from you. I did a video called Omarosa Buffoonery on YouTube. You watch that, where he sat back and said, look, I want to work with you people. I want to work with all the people. I want to work with American people. And he sat back and in particular said that he had this thing called the new agenda, the urban renewal agenda, which had to do with jobs, education, and safety in the Black community. That's all off the Trump table now because of the Congressional Black Caucus, the Urban League, the NAACP made it seem like this man is so evil. So now we are not getting nothing because we're not the loudest person at the table. Stop letting people walk in your house. Build the damn wall.
So let me. So why aren't our Black leaders meeting with Trump? I mean, he's the president. I mean, okay, I understand you don't like him. That's fine. But why can't they just get over that he's the president and not sit down and meet with him and have constructive and engage with him so they could come up with something constructive for Black people?
Because there's no profit in the cure. Democrats live off of, now let's talk about parties, because I don't care what party you are, but I'm going to tell you how the Democrats, how they work. They work on governmental programs because they talk about that, right? They talk about how we need to help the poor, the needy, and how we're having things to help redevelop our communities. So let's talk about their programs. Their government programs are written up so that they can skim or do earmarks. That means that they create these bills and they say it's going to go towards the street. In the meantime, they put another bill underneath it that goes towards their best interests. And they've been doing that for decades. Maxine Waters lives in a $5 million house, and you guys love her. This lady lives in a $5 million plus house in a district that now I think is 40-some% Latino and less Black people. And you guys love her. There's no profit in the cure. I say that over and over because if they can make a profit and have more impoverished poor people in this state of California and in United States of America, they can make more money. Black people don't think they're poor. Even many of us are middle class. And Black people don't think of ourselves as poor. We think of ourselves as full of hope and opportunity and moving forward. But we're not moving forward. We're being suppressed by immigrants, illegal immigrants, and your Black Democrat leaders. Okay, your Black Democrat leaders, your Black Republican leaders, we don't have that many of them, because the ones that we do have, they focus on abortion or they're talking about other issues. It's you, the next millennial generation, that has access to information because of social media and because of the process of how you think are much faster than they think. A lot of them can't even work a damn cell phone or email. They got to have staff to do that. But for you, you guys are doing all UX and UI, you're developers, you're able to open 4 or 5 windows, you've got about 5 or 6 social media platforms, you're hearing from different viewpoints from all around the world. You're hearing from different parts of America. Well, we didn't have that before. So our communication lines are stronger. So I'm reaching out to you saying, please help us in California. Let me help you by being awake to this matter, and don't support it. Have videos, have me on your show. You can go to shirleyhusar.com or Urban Game Changers, or you could email me, or you can DM or SM me and let me know. Hey, I want you to bring on. I've got other people like myself I can put on your show. I thank God for Di allowing me on this one, because I want you to realize that the Democrats want to make as much money as they can off the poor. And unfortunately, they're done with you and they're moving to the next victim.
Let me ask you this real quick, Shirley. I have a brother who wants to come in on the chat. Q, Mr. Research. He's a conservative that I highly respect, like you. Is it okay if he comes on? It's completely up to you.
Yes, I love it. Love it.
Okay, all right, Q. I'm gonna send you the link, brother. Hold on one second. Shirley, how versed are you in regards to the history of California?
I'm pretty good from. I can think I do.
Okay, well, maybe you could address this comment that's always made when defending illegal immigration. That California has always been Mexico or whatnot. That California is Mexico and they're reclaiming their land. What are your thoughts when people make that statement?
Well, I was interviewed on the Laura Ingham show regarding this, and I said this, and I'll say it to you. Land is won by war and pain and triumphs and conquistadors. Mm-hmm. And America, during the duration of its forming, went to war with that part of the world, Mexico. Okay, that is and Guadalupe, and we won that war. We gave them part of their. We actually won more of Mexico than they are allotting to. We owned more of that land, and California was the name of the portion that we acquired, and we left it the name of California, and we had it become formed with the Union of the United States of America. Look, we did not take this country. We even paid them. We won it in war. We paid them, and on top of infrastructural laws, what you guys need to understand. Don't let them give that bullshit to you. You tell them, if Mexico owned California, why does your place look like a shithole? Excuse me for cursing, because Mexico looks like a shithole. Then California could look like a shithole if we allow the wall to continue to be penetrated and let these illegals come into this country the way they were coming, because these people had no structure of protection and sanity in Mexico. Mexico has illegal immigration, illegals coming in from Guadalajara and El Salvador. They have MS-13 issues. They have corrupt elected politicians, worse than we do. They have corrupt, violent police officer, worse than we do. And if you can tell sign, they're all flooding here because they know it's really bad over there. So I tell you this, if you want to say that they own California, well, then why isn't your infrastructure as great as America is? It's not. And you don't own this country. And if they think that you do, try to cause a war against the United States of America right now. All you people who keep saying that and support Mexico saying, well, they owned it first. That's some bullshit. You didn't own it. We won it through war. And our infrastructure of what you see in California is based on the American people who created a constitution.
Shout out to Q, the brother Q just hopped on. Q, thank you for joining us, brother. I think you're getting your sound together. Guys, we have 243 people watching, only 88 likes. Please get the Please get the likes up. Hit that like button. Don't be stingy with those likes. Somebody in the chat room wants to know, how do you feel about Trump's comments when it comes to demonizing the Central Park Five, Jeff Sessions ignoring white supremacy while targeting black identity extremists, etc. What are your thoughts on that?
Ooh, that's a loaded question right there. I don't think Jeff Sessions is doing his job right, number one. I'm mad at Jeff Sessions. Jeff Sessions is not pushing the agenda of why we voted for Trump into office. My number one agenda right now is build the wall and push back on the illegal immigrants. I think white supremacy is an issue. I'm not denying that. But I think for me, as far as priority, where he's failing is he's not enforcing law heavy enough. We've already been served in the state. He served the leaders of Jerry Brown and Eric Garcetti. Jerry Brown is our current governor right now. So I can speak in regards of California. But as far as Jeff Sessions, I think sometimes I look at his job and I say, how long is it going to be before the TikTok happens with that one?
Q, brother, you want to go ahead and chime in?
Absolutely, absolutely. First, applaud to you and Shirley for having a great information. I was listening at work and in the car. I will say this for everybody, FYI. I've been a conservative since 1986 when Eazy-E first went into the White House with
brother,
41.
You had kind of went out. If you can repeat that last part again?
I said I've been a conservative since 1986 when rapper Eazy-E went in the White House with 41, wearing all black and sunglasses, and been a world traveler and a current California resident. So yeah, I'm very versed on a lot of these things, and also applause to the sister for even holding these conversations. I think we as a collective, Dinus, we need to do what you've done and put yourself in environments, as Shirley is doing, put herself in an environment, and let the true conversationalists, not the screamers and the interrupters, not let them come to and dominate. We need to play intellectual chess as people with black skin. I tell people all the time, because they don't understand what conservatism is. I'm an Edmund Burke conservative. I'm a individual who believes what John Adams kicked around. So I'm not a Reaganite, and that kind of throws people to the left, but it is what it is. I'm really black first, but I'm conservative. Let's keep it here. NAFTA was terrible. So with all that said, I answered the same question that you asked Dinus about first the conquistadors. They didn't get all of California, number one. It was only a certain region of it, like the tail end. So a lot of times people will say will mention San Diego and think that was all of California. You know what I'm saying? They don't understand California is 7 states in one. So it's really original. The other thing is that when it comes to talking about these things that you guys talked about so far, and I'm gonna share the mic after I say this, it's really important that people who disagree with us in chat room, in other, that they research and then debate us. That they get their dates and their who said what on this day, who said this at this time, and then they come to debate. Because the problem is the initial response of people who are not well versed is that they come to the party assuming and thinking things is a certain way, and in actuality it's not. And I'll share the mic on that.
Brother, the floor is yours. Go ahead. Go ahead and continue.
Yeah, I know. I'm just like, I love hearing what you said. Can I say something? I'm going to add to what you said. Emotion. Black people act emotionally. Black people go physical. We even use some of our body strength when we're talking to people. Our positions start to change. And I love what you said. Do your homework. Think it through. Don't let them put you in that mindset of what they want you to be. Be your own black woman and man and say, hold on.
There's an echo back.
Okay, I'm gonna hit mine while she talks.
Okay.
I'm gonna mute mine while she speaks.
Okay. All right. Go ahead, Shirley.
Is this better?
Go ahead.
Is the echo still there?
It's better. Go ahead.
So we as a people, we know that we act emotionally and we put our body language in it, and we don't think from a intellectual concept. That's why there's a movement of the Black conscious community growing online. And there's many of us that need to have this dialogue, and we need to hold back and say, let me listen to that brother, let me listen to that sister, and say, okay, what are the solutions? Because all I hear sometimes from some people in the conscious community, they are intellectual and they do have data and they do have a lot of good information or debatable information. But in that, where is the solution? Where lies the solution? I think you first have to acknowledge that the problem is illegal immigration for us. And number two, how do we solve that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So again, Shirley, so let's go back to again, people keep saying Black people aren't building their own Black businesses. And we would, if that were the case, if we were to build our own businesses, we wouldn't have this issue. How do you feel about statements like that?
Back in the 80s, I was a little girl, and my father worked with a man who created the Black recycled dollar. Those in Los Angeles will remember this. And that was a concept that was on the table back then, and we tried to do the Black recycled dollar. You want to go before that? James Brown even talked about us having our own Black dollar. People see James Brown as someone who had this certain, but James Brown, when you look at the history, was a very smart man. And Ray Charles was another very smart man. And, these men and this concept is nothing new about Black recycled dollar or Black dollars going within itself. But I have to say now, because we've assimilated so much broken communities that we can't really say, oh, well, let's have a Black dollar only, unless we identify there's a new community opportunity, and that's online. There's a lot of ways that we as Blacks can help each other and then buy from each other. Because truly to be known, most of us are mixed with different things. We're not just all one thing. I have a lot of West African in me, but I also have other parts of Europe in me. So knowing that, the majority of me is West African, I will tell you that much. Knowing that, I have to identify that as an American citizen, not an African, but an African-American citizen, a child of the indigenous slave tribe. Their job has always been to use us as commodity, to break us from uniting, and to keep us suppressed. So the way we've got to get out of that is absolutely by starting businesses, but you first have to acknowledge, why do we keep repeating it? Why do we keep doing the same deja vu, and not do it over again?
Well, to this, especially as a conservative. So here's the disappointing thing. When to answer your question, Dinus, from my point of view, when Ronald Reagan undid what Jimmy Carter did, when Ronald Reagan did his 1986 Welfare Reform Act and made it easy for human beings to go to government daddy for everything, this to me created a problem, because before that you had those businesses, and Jimmy Carter had a stipulation in the welfare in his reform of what Ford did. He had a stipulation that you had to be a two-party home, you had to be working, you had to be a whole bunch of stuff. Reagan undid that, and Reagan created also allowed for earned income for one parent. Now, I'm not saying that to demean. I'm saying that to show how the checkers were played. When you tell any human being, Irish people, for example, that you can come here, matter of fact, Yemen people, that's a real example on what we're speaking about. If you tell Yemen people that they can come here, get a $30,000 business loan to start up a business, and get 5 years to pay taxes, well, that's a win-win. So anytime you restructure things so a certain group of human beings can win over other human beings, then that's going to cause a problem for you not to create your own situation, which goes to this whole creating Black infrastructure, which is what I call it. Blackmail a lot of opportunity to create Black infrastructure as well as Black females. You can go back into the unions that you had. You can go back to your Teamsters. You can go back to these Black firefighters, Black policemen. You can go all to these things. But here's what the problem is. And this is why I mentioned the Welfare Reform Act. Once some of these people get in the union, they forget to reach back to that little dude dreaming of being a cop. They forget to reach back to that little dude dreaming of being a firefighter. You're supposed to catch that dude when he is like in 8th grade and give him every opportunity to get in. When you go to places like Boston, Connecticut, that's what the other cultures are doing. When they find out a little boy in Boston wants to be a cop, they get him early and put him in the system toward greatness. Well, we knew your father. We knew your father's father. Don't worry about it, Richard. You're going to have a straight shot in. That's how they do. So in answering that question, yes, we have to do that. And in your earlier immigration question, America is doing the reverse. They're spending so much time dealing with people who are coming into the country. And then when those people, I guarantee when we see another Pearl Harbor, you're going to see a lot of people just bounce and leave this country. They're going to leave their houses where they at. This is going to bounce. And then the people who really love this country are going to try to fight for it. Amen. And that's where you're going to see that most of the people who love the country are not in a position to fight. And that's just what it is. Or they've been so disrespected that and that's what I see.
Let's see here. Let me ask you this. Now, people who just have issues with Black people voting for Donald Trump. Do any of you want to address that? Because I think that's where the disconnect is. Like, why will a Black person vote for Donald Trump?
I think I can answer that question. So
go ahead.
For those who may not know me, my name is Shirley Husar. I am the CEO of Urban Game Changers, where we go into urban communities. We hold elected officials accountable. In 2016, I was the delegate for Donald Trump for the state of California, the entire state of California. At the Republican National Convention, I became the lead delegate, and they empowered me to make the announcement of 172 votes for Donald Trump. I became a Trump supporter probably back in 2010 because I believe that I look at it as America as one large CEO company that's been misguided and spent wrong, meaning that it's a business. America is a business. And I think that people never understood that who were always running this country. And I felt that the ways, the laws, including NAFTA and a lot of things that were structured, were not in our best interest or the American people's best interest. So when Donald Trump said he was finally going to be a major contender, and I supported that on Black Hollywood Live, and I have that data documented in 2015, I predicted this man would become president of the United States. So I was an advocate for him because presidents are the better of the two evils. And that's how you have to look at presidential elections. Number one, it's the better of the two evils. You've got two people that you go, oh, I don't like this person. Oh, I don't like that person. But what's going to be in our best interest? In the meantime, Hillary was the main candidate for the Democrats. She stole the election from Bernie Sanders in California. She created with her husband mass incarceration. Her mentor was Robert Byrd, who was a head Klansman for the Ku Klux Klan. And we just pacified this lady in the sense of, well, I got hot sauce in my purse, and everybody laughed on the Breakfast Club. And then he went on the Roland Martin show, and she's doing the jig on the stage. In the meantime, here's another candidate that says, look, I'm reaching out to the Black community. I'm telling you, I want to make a difference in your community. But the problem is with Trump now as president, I'm going to fast forward. So why did I vote for him? Because he had a better sound structure system, and it's the better of the two evils. And I still stand behind. I voted, and I agree. This house, and I was proud of this hat, and I'm still proud of this hat. And I don't care what y'all said. That woman and that man that was previous did nothing for us but help them illegal immigrants and help them immigrants and help nothing for Black people. They think of you as nothing but another nigga on the street they can make some money off of. In the meantime, so that's why I didn't vote for him. I vote for her. but I vote for him and I still hold him accountable as any elected official. I don't care if it's Donald Trump. I don't care if it's your local person, even Maxine Waters with her Looney Tune ass. 80 years old up there screaming for Mexican babies. What about the black babies in the mass incarceration in prisons? What about the black women who are hurting, wanting their man at home? What about the black communities that are being targeted by immigrants and Chinese knocking on their doors, harassing our elderly people? These are things that you need to think about. And the fact that why would I not vote for Donald Trump when you have that idiot woman on the platform? Evil. She's evil. And then all of a sudden, as soon as he got in the office, we start talking about Russia, Russia, Russia. And, it's just a pivot and diversion from true issues that need to be on the platform. The loudest person in the room gets attention. The squeakier wheel that needs to be oiled gets attention. We don't get attention. We're too busy letting these people ride on our backs talking about they got babies. Fuck your baby, and we got babies. Care about our babies. Care about our black men and our black women.
Right. And let me also champion on that. I did not vote for Trump, but here's where I do agree with Shirley. The issue is Democrats did not care enough to put their best candidate forward. Democrats, Nancy Pelosi, she shut out the guy that was supposed to get elected to run the new thing. You have Schumer. You see how quickly he turned on Maxine Waters when it was to his convenience. You see Obama's first 2 years, it was Democrats turning against him. So when you ask the question about Obama or about Trump and his presidency, it isn't really Trump. It's the fact that Democrats are so disrespectful and arrogant that all they do is catchphrases. All they do is, here's who we don't like. They're not even telling the black community right now. Look, Republicans are not telling the black community what they're going to do. Okay, I give you that. But Democrats don't say nothing. They're more concerned with gays, but now the gays, that's been turned around on them because now that you got these Supreme Court justices in play, everything the gays got from Obama has been nullified to nothing. So you see why they so quiet. And then when you look at, and this isn't hate, this is just factual. Like I told you, I'm a conservative, but I'm not a blind Republican. I'm not just voting for Trump just because he's Trump. I didn't like Hillary because of one factor. Before Hillary got into Secretary of State, we had no wars. Egypt was nice and peaceful. Libya was nice and peaceful. We was just getting out of Iraq. Within 4 years, all of a sudden, the Secretary of State created Egypt, Libya, and Syria. That goes to Shirley's point about being evil. Then, behind the scenes, you're sitting up here trying to blame Obama for why the DNC chair doesn't have money. Well, here's a question. DNC chair, it's your job to go out and generate money. So what have you been doing for 8 years? You haven't been doing nothing, but you was talking to Hillary secretly about the fact you don't have money. And instead of telling Obama or telling Bernie or telling the other guy that was running from Boston, you decided to only tell Hillary. Hillary decided to write you a check. And so therefore, everything you did as chair was to the benefit of Hillary. That's why Trump won. Let's keep that honest. And lastly, so far, Trump is hurting white folks. Trump so far is not hurting black people. Trump is riding off the numbers and waves that Obama did. I'm just talking math and numbers. But even if you put that all aside, what have the Democrats done but complain? They haven't promised black male, we're gonna increase the money to the EEOC because we know you have the number one complaints at the EEOC for unfair hiring practices. And when you go for an interview, nope, they're not talking about that. They talking about immigration. Hey, NAACP, we're going to focus on helping more sisters get business. Nope, they talking about some person from wherever the hell coming over here. I mean, that's where the real problem is, Dinus. It really isn't Trump. Trump is just an easy person to blame. And look, as a conservative, I'm gonna tell you, if you really want to be honest, don't blame Trump for the things that are going on. Blame Mitch McConnell. Obama raised the debt 2.6 trillion in 8 years. Mitch McConnell, Ryan, and Trump did 2.8 in 11 months. So blame the Democrats.
Another question from the chat room. People keep bringing up how illegal immigrants or immigrants get loans, these loans they get. And you just brought it up too, Q. Is there any documentation you can point us to that I can share where people can see it? Hello? Hello?
I'm here. You're talking to me?
I'm sorry, I have muted myself. I will go try to get it for you. That's been a long known thing for years. Not every immigrant gets it. Mm-hmm. It's a really a connected thing. It's like when you come, especially Cubans used to get it all the time.
Or not illegal immigrants, but immigrants in general, where they could get these loans.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The immigrant thing is basically a connected thing, because you got to remember, and sure, you should remember, Dinah, we didn't have a lot of immigrants when we were kids.
Right.
It was hard to see somebody in a burqa or even a Mexican brother. You know what I'm saying? Because at one point in time, before Reagan busted up these unions, white, Latin, and black people was out there picking fruit. Proof of that, you can go watch any of those Richard Pryor movies. He made that showing you that they was out there working together. And if you want to go farther than that, there was a famous union, I think it was called the Farmers Something Union, where you had poor whites, blacks, and Latins working together as a union. They were fruit pickers before migrants even came in. Mm-hmm. So, but yes, I will try to find that for you because it's been a known thing for so long. It's like, I mean, the guy close to my store, he got a business loan, a $30K business loan that he got from his connection at the immigration office. That's just what it is. But I will try to find something for you. And always remember, people, documentation sometimes is in legalese. So what they'll do is they'll say, if you qualify for this or qualify that, then therefore you have the option. Kind of what Shirley said about earmarks. So with a lot of earmarks, and I really implore our black people to look up a lot of this stuff, you can say, okay, I'm going to help Sacramento. And then as a subline, 10 G's is going to go to Modesto. Now, you don't read all that subline, which is earmarks, but you're like, well, dang, we should have put that 10 G's to Sacramento because that's what we fought for. No, somebody came in and they wrote some pig in there, some pork, and then now a couple of thousand is going over here, a couple of thousand is going over there. Same thing that happened with the Michigan water thing. Republicans screw that up. You go in there talking about you're going to save money. You divert all this money elsewhere. And then when it comes time to fix the problem, you don't have the money to fix it because you've diverted the money already. But I'll try to find that information.
All right. Let's see here. What else we have?
Before you move forward, I kind of might have the information. I was trying to work fast to find.
Go ahead, Shirley.
Web. I wrote an article called "Shirley Husar's Opinion: The State of Black Union, the Black Caucus Block Money from Black Dreamers." And anyway, it's on EB. EUR Web. Lee Bailey.
Okay. All right. Hold on. Let me type it in the chat room. Say it again.
If you go to EURweb.com. So it's EURweb.com.
Okay.
And you'll go there and search, type in just Husar. And then if you type in Husar, it'll say Shirley Husar Opinion of the State of the Union. The Black Caucus blocks money from Black American. And what I do is I give you a breakdown. I start talking about Trump. I talk about the Latino Coalition. You'll see that link there. And then I talk about the Congressional Black Caucus. But then you scroll down. I'm trying to think about it. Hold on. talk about the different visas that they came in on. Okay. And they talk about the leveraging of illegal immigration from the EB-5 program and the EB-2 visa, open doors for blacks, open doors for, basically illegals against the black communities and the leadership on it. The black politicians basically didn't say anything on those programs. Those programs basically said that if they come in here with money, we will match their money. Or if they come in here with money, we will give them opportunity. And many of them bought franchises. Many of them bought 7-Elevens. Now we're dating ourselves. But do you guys remember when they used to have Kodak film and those little film stores? Those were owned by the Indians. They came in and they bought those little franchises. Fast forward, now they bought into Subways. They buy a lot of little small stores.
Hotels.
I'm sorry, say it again, brother.
Hotels, motels.
Yes, and now they've elevated up. They started with those small franchises. Now they own gas stations, hotel, motels, and they started from these visa programs at this level under Ronald Reagan. I mean, it did not work in our best interest, and we just sat back and we suffered for it. I'm also going to bring another attention. In the 1980s, many black people only had access to wholesale. They didn't have access to import-export. What does that mean? My aunt sold clothes, and there was she had to shut down her shop.
And the thing about that is, the reason why that is, black people historically, and we're going to get into this in my next question. Black people historically have always been kept out of the marketplace. But go ahead.
Black people have been kept out of the marketplace to its knowledge of what it knows. To its knowledge of what it knows. What does that mean? That means that most of us only knew wholesale. We didn't know import-export back in the day, for those of you who are older. Many of you guys understand import-export. Right. You realize that you have access to Africa and China, and there's companies like Elance, where you can basically hire someone from another country on a smaller scale and like the bigger scale. There's so many different ways that social media and the internet has allowed you a platform of knowledge and accessibility to foreign countries or to foreign investors or trade and market. For those of us who are older, our parents did not have that. What we had access to wholesale. So I was going to finish my thought. My aunt sold clothes, and there was a point where she did eventually have to close and get rid of her shop because she would sell clothes, and the next thing she looked up, the Chinese lady had a shop next to her on one of those visa programs that I talk about in that article. Right. And then they would see how, oh, that's a nice dress. I like your dress. It's nice. It's nice. She buys one of them, and she says, oh, look, the Chinese lady bought one. She'll mail it back to China. They have mass production and mass numbers, and they'll produce maybe 100 or 200 of those dresses. And then now she's got import-export, which bypasses the wholesale price, which makes her product even cheaper. It might be a little less quality, but we weren't paying attention to quality. We were paying attention to looks because, we always like to look good. We always want everybody to think we got money. We always want to come off like we're the shit when you see us. But the reality is they were stealing from us. They were taking our intellectual property rights. They were copying us. They were mimicking us, and they suppressed that next generation. Well, now my aunt can't mentor my nephew or my niece or my cousins and saying, look, I have a small business. This is how you do it, because she can't do it the same way. And it basically destroyed that platform of infrastructure of you being able to do that chain relationship of businesses. Look, when you see these illegals mow your grass, they got their kids. They got their kids. Right. You heard the brother said that earlier. Well, we're going to hire you onto the force. We're going to hire your dad onto the force. They all protect each other. What protection do we have when our infrastructure and our intellectual rights have been stolen, basically ripped away, raped? We've been raped in this system of what government has allowed to happen to us, and we don't hold anybody accountable.
And you know what? Let me add in a different way. We as African American people, Black people in general, no matter where you're from, people with dark skin, we got to understand what the Polish, the Swedish, and the Russian all think when they come to America. We all got the same skin tone. Let's not put each other down. We all got the same skin tone. Let's not talk about each other. We all got now, secretly, the Russian might want to kill the white American. The Russian might want to kill the Polish. But for right now, We are all here in America. We're going to capitalize and we're going to work together simply because of this skin tone. You know how many Russians walk around here talking about they white? You know how many Russians you actually see in some of these alt-right marches? Ain't been here in this country for 11 months. What they know about being anti-black or anti-whatever. But they're able to hide in these areas the way a lot of gangsters did back in the day. Some of your favorite gangsters was Polish dudes and Jewish dudes. They wasn't all Italian. So my point in saying that is to magnify kind of what she said is these people get in and they learn through the visa program or just their connection to City Hall. They learn what options are available for this quarter. And they say, hey, Gurati Bani, hada, come over here. You got 10 G's, I got 10 G's, he got 10 G's. We only need 30 G's to put down on a blimpies. Let's put down on this blimpie. I'll go first. I'll get my tax credit benefit where I ain't got to pay no taxes. We'll stack up. When my tax benefits are over, I'll sell to you, Habib. You'll take the business. You'll run your tax benefit that I had to pay. When you finish, you give it to Ada. Y'all send me a little percentage, and we good. Because I'm over here buying the next McDonald's. And that's another thing of what Shirley said. It's information. It's not knowing that it exists. People will put stuff out for 4 months and then snatch it away. And then you'll say, well, Q, where's the information? Okay, I'll go get the information for you, but the laws change, the states change. The fact that it does exist is what the problem is. And Black folks, we work too much on this independent. I got mine, you need to get yours. Everybody else don't work like that. The people from Ghana, they ain't focused like that. They can hate Nigerians, but they get together and they say, you know what? We can make some money. We can make some things happen. We can create our own soccer league out here in America. And this is the problem that as African Americans being so anti-family, want to be single, chasing who to sex next. I want to sex this person. I want to have sex with that person. All that stuff is not important. To everybody else, Dinus, the only thing that's important is legacy and land. Hello. Look at what Shirley said. Somebody sitting up there cutting grass and got their son right there because they want him to take over so that when he gets old, his son will be cutting him a check in case there's no Social Security. What Black people want to do now, especially reading some of the stuff in the chat room that I'm reading, they want to kick back and hope Paul Ryan doesn't cut SSI. Hope Paul Ryan doesn't cut social. You don't do that, man. You gotta every 4 months, you need to be down at City Hall like the Chinese person does, like the Ukrainian person does. What can I get?
Real quick, ABL says walk away from the Anthony Bryan Logan's in the chat room. He says walk away from the Democratic plantation. Now, me personally, I don't understand why Black people will brag about walking away from the Democratic plantation and, in my honest opinion, going to the Republican plantation. What would be your thoughts in regards to my comments to those hardcore free Republicans?
Let me get 30 seconds, Shirley. Shirley, let me just get 30 seconds because I know you got your thing. My thing is this. Look, Republicans have not shown consistency that they are helping Black people. So I'll give people that talking point. Republicans have put down laws that are anti-family, like I told you what Reagan did. Mm-hmm. So to suggest to walk away from Democrats is, to me, disingenuous. I think both parties need to be screamed at and held accountable in the public square. What are you going to do next month for this judge you want voted in in my county? What are you going to do next month for this mayor? How am I going to benefit? And you need to get on YouTube and TV, and every time somebody wants your vote, yell that out until they get tired of hearing you, like Black Lives Matter. So go ahead, Shirley.
I have to agree with you 120%. For those who may not know me, I've been a Republican all my life. So all the way back to Reagan when I was able to, I'm dating how old I am now, but back to Reagan, I was able to vote. I've been following politics since I was a little kid all the way in California. So I've always understood the principles of the Republican Party, which gives you the opportunity of wealth. But on the other hand, like the brother said, here we have situations where there are policies that have been divisive and destructive. So when we use the term plantation, it shouldn't even come out of Black people's mouths. Anyone who says the word plantation has no history of Black people in America who are children of the indigenous slave tribe.
So Shirley, let me cut in. So
I like to finish my thought if I can.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm going. Go ahead.
So when we talk about the whole thing about Black plantation, when you do, like the brother said earlier, you have Black plantations and you have Republicans and you have Black plantations that are on the other side. You have two plantations. What does that mean? No one's really breaking down what that means. What that means is there's a white narratives controlling you. So the only thing that can fix Black people is Black people like we're doing now. Black organizations owned by Black people. If you're with organizations that are not owned by Black people and controlled and ran by someone pushing a narrative that we should stay confused on, we're not going to have real factual talk. Because a lot of Black people don't talk to each other. They're just controlled by white narratives of the term Black Foundation. I want to backpack. If you please give me this one thing I wanted to share.
Go ahead, please. Go ahead.
Brother earlier talked about Black businesses. And I would tell you, as a business owner and understanding the history of who we are as a people, everything he said was right on point. And that you have to realize with the Black dollar, we have to be conscious of our industry and entities that we are strong in, that we have allowed other entities to control. I have issues with that. For example, the Black hair industry is controlled by the Korean community. So I want to give you some places to go to. If you could type in Black hair documentary on YouTube.
I was in that.
It's called, you seen that one?
I was in it.
Oh, yes, that's right. You were in that one.
That
documentary is a very clear example of how the Korean community has taken over. Another place you can go is if you go to the Power Thoughts That Can Come to You for the Day by Black Business. Let's see, it's called Urban Business Institute. So you can type in Urban Business Institute. And this brother talks about Black businesses and Black hairs, opening up Black stores and having import and export access to communities that allow us to get products wholesale or import and export. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry, and taking control of that industry away from Koreans and white people, if Blacks can control that industry, we would have a major card at the table. I'm gonna give you the last example. When the movie Black Panther, at the end, they said, we've got to work with and trying to fix our people in America, right? Killmonger had penetrated Wakanda in the sense that it had to be an example of understanding that colonization, which they already knew was divisive and destructive. And it's similar to the way we are in America, that Africa has been colonized by colonials and also by the Commonwealth in so many different ways. But they said at the end of the movie, what do you have to bring to the table to say that you want some power or some power position of a seat? And the movie cut away. And I would say to you, what do we have if we want to have a seat at the table with powerful people? We're not talking about money. We're not talking about solutions. We have people who are out there talking about plantation. I don't want to talk about plantation. I heard that with Herman Cain. These are white people telling Black people what to say. And so I would say to my
repeat that again. Repeat that again. These are
white people, white Republicans telling Black people what to say. If you know you are listening to a Black person right now on YouTube and Facebook and social media who are out there, who are not speaking from a Black foundation perspective, don't give them no credence, because they can't turn that into numbers of money. Them same people that get all that SEO work behind them, that social media work, I ain't gonna say no names, they're out there doing all this plantation talk, and now they got a plantation team talking about plantation. It pulls money away from us. See, because they're giving money to them who are owned by white people, and nothing on our issues or our solutions are being paid to take care of. We need lobbyists, okay? We need legislation, okay? We need money and we need our businesses back. But the major thing is if we can get control of our hair, all the black women and all the hair we put on, and start saying, look, we want control of that industry. Everybody else got some kind of industry. The Filipinos are in the nursing industry. The Armenians got all the stores tapped up. I mean, we are a country that's divided by cultures anyway. Americans, we're the ones buying the hair. What the hell, Negro? Start talking to the Black Urban Institute businesses and realize that white people that are conservative right now realize that we're the narratives. We're the backbone to change the narrative of illegal immigration, but they're using these young millennials as black fronts talking about plantation. Don't listen to white people telling black people. Let black people speak for black people so we can get solutions and results done today.
You want to chime in on that, Q?
Yeah, so here's the thing, to what she said and for the chat room. Let me give you chat room people some education so you can stop doing this narrative. Conservative does not mean Republican. They are two different things. A Republican is a party. Conservative is a way of governance. There are Democrats who are conservative. There are coffee party people who are conservative. There are Green Party people who are conservative. Conservative basically means keep it here. Let me tell you how life was before NAFTA. Okay. Everybody had to come to America if they wanted American products, and they had to pay whatever America wanted. So let me give you an example. Everybody in the chat room, Coca-Cola, no, I don't believe in swirling. And see, that's the problem, Mr. Plug. You doing that feminine nonsense. I love super dark women. Even Dinus knows that. You should check out some of my videos. But anyway, my point is, everybody in the chat room, Coca-Cola soda pop used to be 5 cents, 10 cents, 25 cents. Some little boy in Thailand had to pay $15 for that same Coca-Cola that used to cost us 5 cents, 15 cents. And he take that Coca-Cola and sell it to his whole community. You get a sip for whatever he was selling it for. A sip for 50 cents, a sip for $1, whatever. When Clinton came along to create NAFTA with Gore, and really Clinton only did this because he was in trouble with this Monica Lewinsky crap. So he had to do something. But when Clinton came along and did this crap, he basically said, okay, China, for this business loan you give us, we're going to invest that in America. China said, we don't want no more Made in America stickers. And for anybody that's older, that's the day Made in America stickers went away. Made in America commercials went away. You couldn't even stamp products that said Made in America. Okay? The problem is with NAFTA, and I'm telling you about how conservatism works. The problem is with NAFTA, it said, okay, we're going to make it easier for everybody else, and we're going to take the hit for it. And Clinton told everybody, we're going to get you better jobs. That never happened. And see, conservatism says, don't do none of that global social nonsense. Keep it here. If everybody else has to struggle, keep it here. We are the number one consumers. So therefore, we don't need to have a NAFTA. We don't need to have those things. And anybody who doubts what I'm saying, look at the classic debate between Gore and Ross Perot, where Gore said, hey, it's going to be a great thing. We're going to sell them, for example, a car, and they're going to sell us 4 tires, and we're just going to flat tax that out. And then Ross Perot looked at Gore and said, the price on a vehicle is much more in taxes that benefit America than the prices on tires. That is the essence of understanding what conservatism is. Conservatism is about keep it here. Don't sit up here and extend yourself to everyone else to the point where everybody in your household is suffering. Last point, because I noticed some people giving Shirley a hard time about the conservatism thing and what have you. Like Shirley said, if you're speaking black first, if you're just not a talking puppet for white supremacy or white people or Jewish people or Asian people, which is going on in Africa, if you stop coming into the microphone speaking against black folks just for the sake of getting a couple of KKK dollars, that's different than someone just happening to have a policy about how to govern their household or govern the city or govern the nation. That doesn't make them a Republican just because they are a conservative. They have a governance point of view.
That was brilliantly said. I mean, I'm going to add to it this way as well. If we look at conservative, how do you conserve? I believe everyone is a conservative in the black community to some extent. If we decide to go out to eat dinner and I said, baby, I want to go get some steak, he could say, you know, we don't have a lot of money. Well, where can we go? Well, I'm not a conservative. I can eat anywhere I want. I'm going to go to Houston. I'm going to go to Martin's, and I can get a $150 steak. I can get a $200 steak. But if you're a conservative, you said, we don't have the money for that. So we're going to conserve and pull back, and we might go to Sizzlers. Hell, we might just pull back and go to Whole Foods and get a good quality steak and cook it at home because we are spending less than. So when you're a conservative, you might even use a discount coupon. Well, why did you use that coupon? Because I need to conserve money. I need to spend less than. I need to conserve for something greater. A conservative believes you conserve so that when you do want to be leisure and to be liberal with your money, you can spend it from another perspective. So all Republicans are conservatives. There's a twister for you there. Some conservatives, some Republicans, not all, but some Republicans are socialists. And some Democrats are conservative on their thoughts, but they're more socialist in their ideology. So it's a twister because you have Democrats and Republicans, which are your parties, independents, libertarians, but then you have conservative, socialism, communism, and conservatives. And the conservatives are about how do you build wealth? How do you look at saying, I'm going to set aside for something of a rainy day for a bigger reward in the end? If you have that ideology, then you are a conservative. As a Republican, and I am a Republican, I believe that we need less government and we need more empowered by the people. The Constitution says we the people, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice and domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense. We need to provide for us first. We have to instill law and order. And you need to understand that the Constitution was created from the Bible. The Constitution, for those who believe in the Bible, that's what the Constitution was created out of. So when you talk about a conservative, you talk about Republican, you talk about where we are in this country, where it's thinking of leadership.
Real quick, somebody in the
wait, hold on. One thing. And to Brenda Johnson in the chat room, we're not all over the place. We just have a different way of thinking that you're not used to. See, your number one thing is to attack or shame something you don't understand. It doesn't mean she's right or I'm right or she's wrong and I'm wrong. It just means, Brenda, you're not used to the information and you haven't went to go see if what we're saying is correct. Sorry about that, Dynas.
Okay. Let's see here. Somebody sent in the chat room, conservative. How can you be a conservative and want black progress?
Again, that just goes to what I just said. Whoever said that question. This is something you don't understand. Go read the book on Edmund Burke. Edmund Burke created conservatism. Go read the book on Edmund Burke. Take all the American out of it, the white, black out of it. Go read conservatism. And then after you read Edmund Burke, matter of fact, just read 5 pages from Edmund Burke on conservatism. After that, you're going to look on TV and you're going to say, wait a minute, what Fox News is saying sometimes isn't conservative. What Joe over here is saying sometimes isn't conservative. What ABL sometimes says is not conservative, not according to the guy who created conservatism. And then you're going to start to understand that everything you hear on TV, radio, YouTube is not necessarily conservatism. It may be someone who is capitalizing off conservatism. The same way that Democrats are not necessarily for black people. Nancy Pelosi has done nothing for you people in the chat room. Yet, you can quickly say, this person's a coon, that person's a coon, and all that's good. But what I'm bringing your attention to is, look at everybody, look at all of us, hold all of us accountable.
ABL in the chat room says, everyone has their own opinion about what conservatism is. Who died and made you the grand arbiter of what it is and what it isn't?
And what I will say to ABL, because don't have me pull the curtain open, to everybody in the chat room, listen to what he just said. All I said was the creator of conservatism. So ABL is going against the creator of conservatism. It ain't about who made me God. Who made Edmund Burke the creator? Edmund Burke did. So listen to what ABL is saying, people in the chat room, and you'll find out he has no knowledge of Edmund Burke. He doesn't even, he has no knowledge of anything Edmund Burke or John Adams talked about. He's benefiting. And I'm not hating him for that. But, dude, I'm not the one. I'm a seasoned conservative. I'm not new to this.
And you know what? I'm going to chime in on you. And I'm 120% behind this brother right here, what he's saying, because being in this game for so long, we understand what conservatism is because we live it. We're not just antics of talking about it or still trying to decipher what it means and what it's about. When you live it, when you understand it and understand the infrastructure of your existence and being in this country has to be based on conservatism. Because if it's based on socialists or being liberal, we would have nothing in this country. We would be under a dictatorship. We would be under a government that is basically not moving us forward as an American people. So, I mean, y'all need to do your homework before you attack some seasoned pros that you hear and see in this video right now.
Another thing, Q, you can answer this question. Now, Democrats have always used immigrants, whether legal or illegal, to marginalize Black people and keep them out of the marketplace. And is well documented. But why till this day are Black people supporting these immigration policies or supporting illegal immigration or fighting for illegal immigrants?
Well, this goes to what you and Shirley was talking about before I came on, and I'll chime on some of the things Shirley said, is that we got to remember, number one, the original Ku Klux Klan were Democrats, Dixiecrats to be exact. So let that soak in. What has happened is, since Reagan came around, other people don't like when I say this, but this is the honest thing. When Reagan came around, this is why 41, President Bush Sr. did not really like Reagan at first, especially during the debates. Reagan was originally a Democrat who was not successful at being a Democrat. So he switched parties. And when he switched parties, oh, people oohing and ahhing in the chat room. See, you didn't know that. Go look that up. Prior to 65,
can I add one more thing? Hillary Clinton was a Republican before she became a Democrat. Y'all need to do your homework.
Right. And so there's a lot of things that people in the chat room are assuming and don't understand. So when it comes to this thing of why it is the way it is, unfortunately, since the creation of Fox News, because before Fox News, it wasn't like this, there was such a disrespect toward anybody of color religiously on TV. And then as the internet gained more traction, there was Rudy Poot snowflake guys who felt disenfranchised because their milk dairy farm didn't go as planned. You know what I'm saying? And so they would start bashing people of color. And so people of color start gravitating more and more and more to the Democrats who were not saying anything negative. Doesn't mean they didn't feel that way, because when Obama first came on the scene, like I said, it was Democrats trying to stop that dude. Wasn't no Republicans trying to stop that dude. That first year, it was no. You don't know. You just young. No. they were stopping him like all outdoors. So when you say these things, it's because Democrats learn how to not say nothing, good or bad, about black folks. And the conservatives or the Republicans or people on that side constantly grabbed the microphone and said disrespectful stuff. I'm going to make a comment about Black Panther, the movie. But when the Russian movie Red Sparrow comes out, I'm not going to say nothing. See, black people look at that and they like, golly, white folks, why are you always speaking up? And we're always trying to help you when it comes time for these wars. We're always jumping in our planes and being the red tails, and we're always being the Harlem Hellcats. And we all see, I know history. I know actual factual things. Sorry, ABL, that you don't know those things. But nevertheless, my point is, you got to understand that when Fox News was created, per my view, it started to demonize one side. And what the Democrats successfully did was be quiet. They wouldn't say nothing good or bad. Except when Clinton got on that saxophone, black folk, oh, he's cool. He was all right. But secretly, Clinton is the one that created private jails. Clinton is the one that sat up here and created the structure for the Patriot Act that allows people, cops, to just scan your plates and write you and pull you over for noticing that your insurance has collapsed. Clinton is the one who created all those things. Prior to that, you didn't have all that stuff. It wasn't no towing of your car and all that crazy stuff. Now, people are using those things to go after you guys. And that's what I'm trying to say, is that you got to know everything about the information and the history and not just assume Shirley is a Republican, Q is a conservative, boo, boo, coon. Okay, let's say that's true. But then the person over here, Democrat, not saying nothing, hates you with passion and smiles in your face and takes everything from you and your kids. And now who do you blame?
Anything else you want to add to that, Ms. Shirley?
I would say they even have hot sauce on their purse, and then they end up having you dance on stage so you can get a check behind the scene. Look, it's smoke and mirrors that we find with the Democratic Party and what they continue to do for the Black community. The smoke and mirror method has been successful for the last 40 years because, as I stated before, there's no profit in the cure, but there's profit for Black elected officials. It's profit for the Congressional Black Caucus that congregate over districts that are, most of them, the loudest ones, like Camilla wannabe Black Harris and Maxine Waters, don't even have any Black people here. We're down to 6% in California. So they want that wave to continue the rest of the country because they're getting earmarks and they're getting checks. Y'all got to wake up. Even Hollywood with Black Americans. Why are these Black Hollywood people supporting illegal immigration? Why are these Black Hollywood people not mad about what's going on in the Black community? They get 1% of the wealth. I think Whoopi Goldberg's worth $45 million. You don't never hear her say, hey, y'all, we're going to get together. We're going to create a lobbyist. We're going to think of some legislation to make Black lives matter. Black lives really don't matter to these people. It's a terminology so that they can still use you and step on your back with the smoke and mirror method. What we're trying to do today is wake you up and say, do your homework. Stop being so defensive or so aggressive towards us. And we're just trying to give you real numbers and real facts and stop acting emotionally and say, ho, let me do my homework. Let me take some of these notes and go to some of these websites and let us build ourselves as a nation of people. Somebody said in the chat room also about, I want to start a business. I want to grow and I want to meet other people. If I can do what you guys are talking about, I say go to meetup.com. If you go to meetup.com, find out things that you like to do and find people of kindred spirit and business. And you might be surprised. You might find a brother or sister too there. And then talk to them.
Right.
And see if there's somebody that, hey, that sister's like me. This brother's like me. He likes tech. He's in the DOS. I come from old school DOS. But as you know, we now have developers. We have UX, UI people. What about people who are in forensics? Hey, I'm going to go to cybersecurity forensics meeting. I'm going to learn how to code. I'm going to go to Black Girls That Code. I'm going to go to code.org. And I'm going to learn how to code so I can get ahead of the game. If you want to see Black communities grow, Yes, we need to have utilities. Yes, we need to have food products controlled and grown by us, but we need to have a bigger way of getting there at a lower cost, and that's through technology. If we can get together, you don't need no 4 or 5 or 8 years of schooling for that. You can get a certificate, you can go to developer school, you could become a coder, and you can make money, and then you can come back to Urban Game Changers, you can come back to Die or any of us and say, hey, where do we go from here? Because we need to hire lobbyists to fight for our best interests. Lobbyists get the squeaky wheel. The Catholic Church doesn't work in our best interest. Back in 400 years, they were trading people. Now they're in front of the cameras with children pushing the illegals and babies. That has been such a smoke and mirrors. Forget those black people, smoke and mirrors. Y'all got to see, oh, that's a smoke and mirror. Let me get louder. Let me start texting and emailing more about illegal immigration control and take down black people. They don't want you to be against them, because that makes your number grow. If all of us, 100% black Americans, stood together and said, we do not support illegal immigrants, and we want that seat at the table, Mr. Trump, and we want legislation, and we have laws, and we have a list of solutions with bylaws that are already in place. We don't have to reinvent the laws. We just need them to enforce them and take them back.
Can I just add this kind of what Shirley said?
Go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
Look, it's just like when people teased Omarosa for being in the White House. Whether you liked her or not, John Kelly got her out of there, and now he about to get out of there. How does that serve us? Whether you liked her or not, having her there, even if nothing really came about, and even being able to hold those conversations is Shirley's point. Being able to be on record having those conversations. Let's talk about lobbyists. Dinus, did you know that black females, Democrats, have their own lobbyists in the Senate?
Had no clue.
Okay, but they don't talk about black people. They just talk about black women. Isn't that a problem if you're only talking about one gender? So my point is that to Shirley's point, you got to have lobbyists in place to have your agenda. That's why I said when you was on O'Shea show, I said, hey, look, you got to have lobbyists in place to hold a black male agenda. I mean, you can force that in the conservative, in a Republican Party, but we got to stop being talkers about it. We got to actually get in and force these conversations to be happening. The other thing I'll say to what Shirley said is, whether it's conservative on the conservative side, what happened to Michael Steele was a tragedy. What happened to Mia?
Let me jump in. It's something that ABL, if you're watching, you still haven't answered the question, but go ahead or addressed it. ABL, you are Brandon Tatum, but go ahead.
Yeah, him and Tatum ain't going to do that because, like I said, they're getting a check. So, but anyway, nevertheless, my point is
everybody's for sale. They got bought. So next.
So yeah, so it is what it is. What happened to Michael Steele was so disrespectful. It was disappointing on so many levels. But the same thing happens when they muted the black dude who was working with Bernie, made him take a seat and made him shut everybody up. So it happens on both sides. But what we got to start doing, especially on the local level, your city, your county, all these ideas you people have in the chat room, I need for you to take your sarcasm down to your city council.
Okay.
Just tell your job it's voting day today in my county. They have to let you off. Okay, you don't have to show them proof. It's voting today in my county. A lot of times they don't publicize when a judge is running or when a secretary is running, but you say, hey, I got to go down, and you go sit down in your city council. Stop being in the chat room saying what we need to do. Man, Mr. Research must like cheeseburgers. Stop all of that childishness, because that's what these other groups want you to do. They want you to only be talkers. They want you to only be complainers. They don't want to see you down there at city council saying, why is that judge getting elected? He don't even like black people. Why is that a person getting voted in? They don't even like women. Why is that person getting voted in? She's anti-male. That's where all you guys need to be at. instead of sitting up here doing the entertainment thing and clowning. And then you guys wonder why black male homelessness is on the rise. Most of your grandmama's property is being seized by the city because you so independent and single-minded. You don't think like a family. You don't have your money together to take over the taxes. You still live in an apartment, and your grandma got a nice house over there. You can't even pay the back taxes on to take that over. You guys got to understand where your priorities are. Sorry about that, Dinus.
No, I thought that was brilliant. I'm going to chime in one more time. Look, it starts at home. That's brother saying it is so on point. It starts at home. We talk about 3 strikes, you're out. Who voted those laws in place, and who are the judges? Who are the judges that continue to force them on our people, who are biased and target our people? You can vote those judges out. If you can't get rid of the law, get rid of the judges. But if you don't realize the judges, that there's a pattern in the system. There's a pattern in the system that is divisive and destructive towards us as a people, and that we have ways to break them, but we're so stuck on the stupid. We're so stuck on the Kardashians and entertainment and how many Instagrams and how many selfies I take a day. We're so stuck on all that, we're losing. I want to see you all empowered mentally, spiritually, and financially. And the way you become empowered is watching shows that you see that Di does, that I do, that ABL is once in a while. ABL has some great shows, and sometimes I'm questionable now that what he's done. And I love my ABL. He knows that. But you also have amazing people like T West. You also have amazing people. I love Tria Logic, and no one's talking about her. I'm gonna throw her on the table, and I'm gonna throw Nikki Green. Hey, I'll throw Cynthia G. Let's all have a conversation that we're all having here. If we agree or disagree with some of our other YouTubers, Yvette Cornell. I mean, we all need to keep talking, because the more we talk, the more we clarify. The more we clarify, we come up with solutions that are already there. We just don't identify them, and we don't take charge of them.
Guys, we have 303 people watching, only 186 likes. Please get the likes up, hit that like button. We have a very dynamic panel on today. Information show, brother. I think I want to say Q and Shirley answered your question already, brother. That was addressed, but Q, I'm going to ask you. We'll get back to you. Black people who support illegal immigration don't support the Black community. Am I fair in my analysis or not?
A lot of times, to Shirley's earlier point, it's less educated people. Mm-hmm. For example, and you know what? I'm almost primed to have us take a pause until they get the likes up. That's disrespectful. 160, and you got 300 people watching. But yeah, the problem is that like the brother just said in the chat room, he said Obama didn't do anything for Black people. Well, what you don't realize is Paul Ryan blocked every Black thing that Obama tried. So let me give you one example. Obama tried to do something with child support. I want you to type in your Google, Obama, child support, Paul Ryan blocked. And you will see how Paul Ryan blocked that effort by Obama to alleviate many men from back child support interests.
Hey, can I read something real quick? So child support payments, if you owe $2,500 or more in child support, you are not eligible to receive a U.S. passport. Golly.
Well, it's been like that for years. Actually, your boy Gore did that. Yeah, a Democrat. He did that. Yeah, your guy did that. But it's been like that for years. But that's neither here nor there. I mean, at the end of the day, it's kind of like what somebody else said. We, especially as Black men, we have to start creating infrastructure. Black men, as much as we talk, as much money we make in sports and entertainment, we need to create some type of loan card or whatever to where a black dude or a guy in general can get out from up under those child payments and pay back this black male banking system at a 15 or 16% rate or 8% rate. You know, black males can do that if we stop just falling in love with chasing white women and talking about how much I hate women and women going one day realize we ain't gonna date them. That type of conversation is entertainment. It's not real. You know what I'm saying? It's you got Chinese dudes over in China going into depression because they not interacting with no females. It's like at some point in time, you got to stop complaining and you got to create. Take that 10 G's and create. Like I told everybody, I invested in WakandaCon. That's coming up in Chicago. I'm thinking about trying to do a San Francisco version. I'm thinking about trying to do some other black male stuff here in the Bay Area. I'm trying to spend this money. I took a manager job and a second job in AI in trying to do AI so that I can make these type of investments for other brothers. I don't sit on the chat room talking about making little and stuff. It's counterproductive, people. It's counterproductive. More homeless black people. I want y'all to drive around and look at the homeless black dudes out there.
Man, go to LA, go to Skid Row. Goodness.
Yeah, you can be there in 2 years. I've been homeless twice. I know what it feels like. So my whole point in saying all this. Go ahead, Shirley.
I'm sorry, not to cut you off. A lot of people in California only one paycheck away. I just did a video I uploaded yesterday. A lady 67 years old, African American, homeless downtown LA. She said, I'm on a fixed income and the rent was so high, my income can't support it. So you got a lot of your elderly aunts and uncles, people that could have been your teacher in school, who are now homeless because they can't afford to stay here. And we can't afford to wake up and go make a difference and change that for them.
Yeah, and just to finish out my statement, like I said earlier about not knowing, see, that brother didn't know Obama tried to do those things. And kind of like I said, I'm fair because I look at the math of things. And when we go back to the Trump side of things, Trump has not hurt black folks as of yet. He hasn't done nothing negative. My thing, again, with Clinton was she was so anti-black with a smiling face. It's like, Jesus Christ, just look at Libya. There was no reason for Libya to be attacked. There was no reason for Gore and them to create these private jails back in the day. There was no reason for all of that. And I'm not saying Republicans are perfect. Clearly not. Because like I said, look at how Michael Steele got treated. But we as black folks, if we stop this infighting, kind of what Shirley said, get everybody talking. Stop using these fantastical dates and things that don't exist. Somebody said earlier about black people going to Mexico. Of course, because they had a black president. Oh, I didn't know they had a black president, Q. Once again.
And he was assassinated because he was black.
Right. Once again, you got to research. I mean, you got, you know, so
can I add on to that? And what about what happened to Malcolm X's grandson?
You see what I'm saying? It's like there's so much stuff. I understand you guys are not used to conservatives talking black first, but a lot of us do exist. I do go to these dinners and I do hold these white folks accountable. I make these white folks turn pink sometimes when I say the things that I say to them, you know, but I am an American. I'm pro-America, but I am not a sucker for everything mayonnaise. I'm just not. I'm all about keep it here because that benefits you guys. I have 5 certifications. I'm protected. But for some of you guys out there, you need these unions. You need these programs. You need these let's build together type of philosophies. And you don't need immigration. It's not going to help you.
Shirley, we'll pass the mic to you, and then we'll go ahead and close out after that. After you speak.
Wow, there's so much we talked about today. We should do a week series.
I'm down because Shirley, like I said,
we can be on every
I'm dead serious. I'm there.
We can look. You said when I said that, you're like, I'm serious. We can take one night and talk about money. We can take one night and talk about mass incarceration. We can take one night and talk about how Black women are targeted to abort their children. So our seed is taken out of us. But the Jewish people, you can compare the Black seed versus the Jewish seed. That's a whole nother story. Because the Jewish
mean the Polish people? You mean them Polish people over there? Okay, yeah.
Well, they value the woman. Where is the womb of the Black woman who was valued by her own people? That's the point I'm trying to make with that one. I mean, there's just so many subject matters that we could go upon that has to do with the divisiveness that has commenced in this country. So I'm going to end it on two notes. Number one, there's no profit in the cure. That's why Democrats want to keep you poor, and they want a lesser than culture of people to elevate because they can liquidate that culture. Number two, keep in mind, as far as making money, well, when you start to tell the truth, people get a little scared. So remember that. Truth tellers get a little scared when you tell the truth because some people can't afford to tell the truth. Make sure you guys follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, and go to my YouTube channel. Subscribe and like me too. And like this other brother Q, because I love him. Q, you are so awesome. Thank you so much for joining in. You just added so much value to this conversation. Sometimes people think that we're the lonely person out there, but we're not. There's many of us, and we're all starting to step up to bring you guys on board and join our train because we need that new Wakanda, and it starts with all of us.
All right, go ahead and Q, go ahead and share your contact information and anything else you'd like to share in closing.
Well, you catch me on Facebook, Bro Lessons. Twitter is Bro Lessons, and then YouTube is the Male Wolf Lifestyle. Really teaching guys to live beyond dating and complaining. And really live a dominant mentality. Got a lot of dudes on Patreon. We got the counseling going on. That's going great. This thing, Patreon's blowing up more than what I thought it would. Doing a lot of counseling, helping a lot of dudes double their salaries. We got 95% of the Wolf students are making more money than they was before now. And they're restructuring their life, how they think about things, how they think about women and business and everything. So, just got a lot of good stuff going on, man. And my closing statement is this. If Black people start looking at everybody with dark skin as Black, if we reached out to the negritos and negritas, the people who are hated in Spanish culture for their dark skin, and say, you're our brother, come on in. We would take that energy and that collective, and we would start to get more culture back. Like I go Latin dancing a lot. There's a culture in how people behave. I go Kizomba dancing now, which is an African created thing. There is a culture in how people behave. And when you have that elegant culture, when you have that upper level of class, then you start dealing with better types of people. Then when I say, hey, I got 10 G's, I want to invest in something, you come to me with a solid business plan with no errors and no issues, we might be able to talk. I might be able to get a percentage with you. I got a young brother right now. He's too young for me to invest right now, but he creates his own cell phones. He takes the inner workings of a cell phone and creates his own cell phones from scratch. Okay. I worked with this brother on his business plan. I work with this brother. He's in some type of business deal with a hip hop guy now. We sat and talked about how to restructure that understanding and make sure things are documented. And if it's going to be percentages, it needs to be like this. That's how I'm trying to help other Black dudes through action, not through talking and dreaming of white women. That's not going to work. So those are my closing things.
All right. Well,
can I come in on that one?
Go ahead.
Brother, I forgot to mention also, and I would get in trouble with my team. Urban Game Changers, where we go into the urban communities and we hold elected officials accountable. We talk about understanding the difference of parties. We understand that we need to understand different levels of government from local, state to federal. We recently just had a Fate of Black America tour. We were in Washington, D.C. We had a good 50, 60 African-American people there talking about illegal immigration and everything that we talked about here. We're looking at doing something with the Advice Show in Texas, so stay tuned for that. And we got a big announcement coming out regarding October. So we have 6 chapters right now with Urban Game Changers, where we're going to be going into communities, and we already have been doing this on local levels, having these kinds of conversation. You all may not agree with anything that we said. You might agree to 120%. But guess what? Thank you for staying this long. Thank you for listening. And thank you for creating dialogue, because communication is the key to bring us back as a unit, as a people.
And with that being said, everybody, thank you so much for joining us. Make sure you go to search for Uhuru on Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, and Facebook. Also, Africa Personified on those same platforms. Make sure you go to searchforuhuru.com, dynasamir.com, amazon.com. Search your name, Dynasamir. Please buy a book. Also, go to africapersonified.africa. Until next time, everybody on the panel, thank you so much. I enjoyed it. It was a great build. I really enjoyed it. So
thank you for having me. God bless
anytime.
y'all.
Once a week, anytime.
No, I'm telling you, we should do a week series of this, and they'll be like, "Oh my god, oh my god!" Just do it for a whole week, not once a week, like a whole week, and just see what happens.
Okay.
Yeah, just let me know in advance, at least like 4 hours in advance, so I can itch over some time. Especially if there's a crazy.
And Q, and I'd really love to talk to you, so make sure that we connect, because I love to talk to you after the show if that's possible.
Okay, Dynas, just send him my email and we'll connect.
All right,
also, Dynas, if something crazy happens in the news, man, put this together so we can explain it to the people.
Okay, yes. Absolutely. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, family. Peace.
Peace.